Welcome to the show where we answer the who, what, where, how, and why of the extraordinary people that define our north of normal metro. Rather than introducing you, I told you I've been shaking some things up. We're not going to have any breaks. This is the Fargo Five, and I'm Conrad Fargo. But rather than introduce you, I'm going to let you give a 30-second elevator pitch. Who are you? What do you do?
Excellent. Quick blitz. All right. I'm Andrew Gentner. I have been running my company called Cheerio Entertainment for 4 years now, and it's finally gotten to the point where it's not hemorrhaging money every year, which is great. I just had my first show that was in the black, so that was very exciting. But I run a lot of production stuff, so I have some really nice DJ equipment, some really nice subwoofers and lasers and stuff, and so I work with a lot of local venues and promoters to put on a lot of big, loud shows, and I'm also a DJ, so that helps pay for my my creative hobbies.
Are you from the area originally?
No, I actually moved up from Minneapolis to go to NDSU, but 4 institutions didn't really figure out to be my thing, so I dropped out fall of 2020 and started my journey by throwing house parties. So
your family's back in Minneapolis?
Yes.
You don't
yes.
have? Do you have a lot of family up here? Or are you all up here by yourself?
I'm up here by myself.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so we've already covered. So I told you I'm changing up the show a little bit. It's the Fargo Five, right? Like, yes. Why five? Why five? There used to be 5 segments that were each 5 minutes long.
Oh,
no
okay.
No more with that. It was a whole show. And when I realized this was somebody else, Sam Wisenden, he's going to be on the show. He said, just keep the 5 and repurpose it. And I realized any interview is going to be covering those 5 questions. Who are you? What are you? Where are you from? Okay, but what I want to focus in on now for the rest of the show, so we covered the first 3 of the 5 questions already.
Nice.
Now the rest of the show is going to be trying to figure out the how and the why. So you run Cheerio Entertainment
LLC. Yeah.
And that you started that 4 years ago. Was that your first company?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mean to be ageist or visionist.
Or a young spry here.
You look young. I mean, how old are you?
We're 24 and a half now.
Okay. So
yes, not even 25.
So you're 20 years old. And you keep looking at that camera. I don't think I turned it on.
I don't think so either. It says go live.
Yeah. Do you want to go ahead and press go live on that? That's just my backup camera anyway. I think that'll be
wonderful.
That'll be
all right,
fine.
We got it.
And then I didn't ask the joke. So, but that's fine. That's fine.
Excellent.
Okay, now we're going.
Well
this
framed.
Is live radio. It's fine. It's fine. This is, hey, people like this about podcasts. It's authentic and natural. Right?
Yes, off the cuff.
Okay, so you're 20 years old. You said you came up here from Minneapolis to go to NDSU, so that was at 18.
Yeah, in 18, 19, about that.
What were you going to university for?
Big picture, I'm not sure. Just some noise. One of the professors I like to listen to on YouTube said that one of the reasons people go to college is to get a date, and that was my primary my primary goal. Needless to say, we failed because I was not in the right state of mind to even begin to do that. So this last 4 years has been a very arduous journey of working out and figuring out who I am so I can actually get a date.
Well, so look, I mean, I ask my wife. I'll be the first one to reduce everything down to sex. So.
Oh yes, you're not the first.
I'm not. Yeah, well, me, Freud, and
right, exactly.
Whoever invented evolution.
A quest for power and getting laid or whatever it is.
I get it.
Yeah.
But you were in Minneapolis.
Yes.
Isn't both the talent and the prospects better in bigger cities? Like what?
Yes. I initially wanted to go to the University of Minnesota, but I didn't get in. So NDSU was the school that accepted me, and they also were pretty flexible on the credits. I kept myself busy during high school. I took PSEO programs and whatnot in high school, and so I managed to go to NDSU with 51 college credits already completed with AP and PSEO. So
yeah, the Minnesota, say what you will about Minnesota, their high school education system is fantastic. I'm a spud. I graduated Moorhead, so they give you AP and PSEO opportunities.
Yep, and I actually went to an audio engineering school through that same type of program. So I began learning like very high level like audio and lighting mixing and live production at 18, 19. So
that was the degree you were getting. What degree did you go to NDSU for?
It was like mathematics and computer science with like a minor in accounting or so. It was like all across the board. I wasn't sure what I was doing. I just know I wanted to. If I was going there, I was gonna.
Did you end up graduating or?
Oh no, I did. I wasn't. I decided to not take the Adderall infused, force my way through it route. I went to 4 different colleges over my college experience time, and in each one I grabbed very specific information, and then once I realized that I had everything I needed, for example, the Institute of Production and Recording was the production school I went to. I took some very basic intro classes that kind of got me what I needed to know, and then went back to Fargo. It was a school that used to be in Minneapolis, but unfortunately it closed like 2 years ago. But I still talk to my primary teacher to this day and ask for advice. I actually did that on the
So you've just been bouncing back and forth between Fargo and the city. So you came up to Fargo for NDSU, then you went back down to the cities for
I
that
went back for
school?
like the summer and then something. It's very complicated, but then I also went to a community college for... it's not important to the discussion, basically. I mean, big picture, I am now moving back to Minneapolis to move back in with my parents, which is going to save me like $1,000 a month in expenses. So I can fully focus
you've been on your own this whole time. So
yes.
The reason I want to focus back more on that, so because I want to figure out the how did it happen, and that's the real kind of focus. Or the unique kernel of what I've realized thinking, because I'm restructuring the show, right?
Right.
Thinking about it, like, what is it that we bring to the table here? And I wanna create an experiential story for the listener. Of let's say they see Andrew Gentner, and they say, "Gosh, that guy's got it all figured out. I want to be just like him." And so we've got the nature side and the nurture side, and so I'm trying to zero in. First on your nature, right? So you're the kind of guy who is self-aware. I mean, I think you know who Donald Hoffman is? I gotta stop name dropping. But do you know who Donald Hoffman is?
I've heard of him. Please enlighten me.
Well,
remind me.
It's like a household joke because I talk about it all the time. So like, he was able to demonstrate that the fittest, it's evolutionary biology stuff, and he used computer models to show that like the fittest version is not the one who interacts directly with reality or experiences it in any way. It's actually the one that just acts in a way that is going to lead to having it success, and directly experiencing reality is counterproductive to that result. And so like kind of, you kind of make a face there like, what does that mean? What it means is that being self-aware is probably bad for you. It probably destroys you.
Oh, yes, it's very complicated.
I think most people aren't aware, like, well, the reason I want to go to college is because I want to get a girlfriend.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's the reason we do it. I think that's maybe the base reason for getting out in your 20s and interacting with people is it's pairing off and mating rituals.
Yes.
But I think you were aware enough to know that about yourself. So you're a very self-aware person.
Yes.
Would you say that's true?
I would imagine that the reason that that is so is because if you're spending time reminiscing and thinking about your life, you're not spending time actually doing your life, and that's not productive, you know.
Well, I think it has. I would speculate that it has more to do with the fact that there's kind of an arms race between, specifically, and again, I reduce everything down to sex. There's an arms race between men and women, and it requires a little bit of deception. And the best way to deceive somebody is to believe the lie yourself.
Oh, I can't do that at all. I worked at this one company called DeBella, and they do in-home sales for roofing and other exterior stuff, windows and baths and whatnot. And they gave me this whole training program on how to do the sales properly. And then I left it. I'm like, wow, they gave me a lot of training. And so I went out and started shadowing these other people who knew that what we're doing. And then me being the person I am, reached out to the person who was providing the roofing materials, GAF, because I'm like, well, so we're selling this product, right? So the product obviously has to have sales representatives. So I reached out to the the largest shingle manufacturer in America, and found the regional sales representative and had a lovely conversation with him about the facts of the material you were selling versus the propaganda that the company had given me. And so after that lovely discussion I had with the sales representative, I went to my general manager and said, hey, I had this lovely conversation. And he's like, why didn't I think of this? What? Huh?
No, but you see, this is exactly
because he's there because he believed the propaganda, and if you question the propaganda, then you're not going to be making money doing in-home sales, taking advantage of people that don't know anything about roofing. And so literally had to quit that job because I'm like, I can't do it.
You would have been better off if you had not been so self-aware.
That's correct.
And if
I just shut up and followed the company line, then it would have been great. I would have been making $2,000 a week.
That's Donald Hoffman right there, right? Mm-hmm. So it would have been to your advantage not to even be able to perceive the reality of the numbers underneath it, but to just do what was your advantage. So believing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and so that's
my life would have been so easy, bro.
Yeah. So I would imagine your story is full of situations where you become too aware of the moving parts.
Oh, yes.
And so maybe you go to NDSU and you say, rather than just following through and finishing the degree, you go, you're aware that you have agency. With the assistance
of a lot of meth or meth equivalents such as Adderall.
But so like you were in NDSU and you were probably aware like, oh, I could be doing something different and that might work better, right? Is that, or how did that go for you?
Oh, it was a long time ago. I actually haven't had the ability to reminisce on this with somebody in a while. Basically, I was super quiet in high school, so I mean, crudely get a date, yes, but I wanted to start like talking to people and like actually like start socializing because I didn't really do that in high school. So that didn't go well at all, actually.
Really? Well, for me, I mean, that was my college.
That was the hardest year of my life.
Revenge of high school. That was the theme of my high school.
Yeah, but I'm still doing that. I'm still massaging that
nursing
wound
that
there.
wound.
Yeah.
Okay. So you jump around. You say 4 different universities.
Yes.
And then you say to yourself, Cheerio Entertainment. Like, where does that?
No. That is part of the. Jumping around to the different universities was part of the process. Like one of them was like a digital. I went to school for a digital marketing thing, and we actually ended up working with this one local business called Charlie's Chow or something. He makes the puppy chow stuff and puts it in bags and makes it look all fancy. And so the teacher reached out to the business person. And then I ended up engaging with them directly because, of course, that's who I am, and asked all the important questions. And then the assignment she tried to give us is like, oh, we're going to make a sales pitch that includes like a billboard and like radio advertising and like and it just didn't make any sense for what was at hand. So I basically didn't do it and then failed the class. And I said, well, at this point, I've taken an intro to business class. I've taken an intro to social media marketing, which I have some interesting trends and opinions on, but basically once I finished that class, I'm like, you know what? I think I've gained all the information that I can gain from this particular exploration. So it's time for me to move on. So, and that was like 2 years ago. So, but that was interesting. Do we have time for my take on social media marketing and all that?
We have another 40 minutes, my friend. We got this. There's no hurries here.
All right. We could go there now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure, why not? Okay, so here's my hot take on that. I will start with the discussion I had with a promoter friend of mine on Saturday. Basically, he is like 43 years old, but back in his day, he used to be throwing these massive parties, EDM shows at Arthur's Barn. Like he sold 1,000 tickets for it. And he was reminiscing, and it's interesting because I just absorbed this information, and he's in the same industry.
How did you meet this friend?
Actually through my business. So I'm working directly with Proof Artisan Distilleries. A lot of my equipment is being used there now, and so it was his show that was being put on at Proof. And so, yes, so the promoter, his name is Butter, worked with Proof, the venue, to put on the show. A little more complicated than that. But basically then we went to an after party and I learned that he's been doing shows forever and he's been producing forever and he really liked my equipment, which is super dope. But anyway, what I was getting at is that he's been promoting for a long time and he used to like poster bomb cities. Like he'd print 10,000 posters and put them everywhere, and then that's how people would get to know about these things, you know. But now the question is like, how do you let people know stuff exists? Like, how do you get the name out there? How do you promote yourself? Because like social media, paying for social media advertisements, I don't know. I don't know about you, but I've never bought anything from a social media advertisement. I mean, I'm a different demographic, you know.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, we are not the target market, my friend.
Oh no, it's the people who actually like to consume stuff, not me, who spends 20 minutes researching a speaker, buys it, spends like $2,000 on it, and then the next day I'm just bombarded by advertisements for, would you like to buy another speaker, which you already bought and aren't buying it? I already did that. Yeah. And so he was asking the question, like, how do we actually tell people that this show is going on? Because social media is not really good for doing that unless 100%. You already have a giant following. And 100%. Even if you do, like, people aren't going to come out. Like, they're so tucked in, especially after COVID. Like, how do you actually get people to leave their house and go to an event? That is the question.
And the answer is?
I don't know. Okay. I'm stuck. I think
everybody's.
Yeah. How do you and the guy, I guess what I'm getting to is this guy who's been doing it for like 20 years now is like, how do you, there's no way to make money in this business unless you're like selling drugs at the event. And there's like no way to tell people this stuff exists because you can't poster bomb cities anymore. Social media doesn't really get the word out there, but like the people that you're trying to reach out to, like how do you reach them?
It's a central problem. So
and social media is not it. That's basically what I learned from going to that school, is that organic marketing and talking to people and like doing the ground game. That's basically that's all it's ever been.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if that's all that's ever been. I mean, there may have been a time.
Well, I'm sure.
But I think it's the cell phones specifically. It's because everybody you are outlining a speech I give all the time. I stand up in front of rooms of people all the time, a dozen people, a room of a dozen people, and I say, look at your cell phone right now. How many things want your attention? And I'll open it up and I'll be like, my Blink camera, my Gmail, my daughter's daycare wants me to know about it. Everything wants your attention.
Yes.
At all times. And again, reducing everything down to sex. I sometimes call it hot girl syndrome.
It's the worst.
We're all the hot girl now. Like everybody's just bombarding us with attention,
right?
And we need to all figure out.
Oh, the Instagram search is the worst. I'm like, here, add my Instagram, and then it goes to the search, and it's literally just like tits and like big boobs. No.
What I'm saying is, we are the hot girls, though. I'm saying everybody wants your attention. Everybody wants everybody's attention, and there's too many opportunities. You know what I mean? Like for years, forever, hot girls have had the problem that everybody gives them too much attention.
I know, it's the complete opposite of dudes. Like it's wild.
But
dudes get no attention. The females get too much, and then
in a marketing sense,
yes,
in a way that has never been before, it's very easy relatively to reach out and grab people, to push a notification on them, to send them a message, to say, look at me, look at me, look at me.
I would say for the past 20 years, although our society is slowly learning how to deal with that.
But no, are they? I don't know. No, that's what I'm saying is I don't know how to deal with that. I call it the attention economy, and I don't know that there's a solution other than. So my solution...
Remove the distractions, put the silent slider on.
Well, and networking, right? So like people are unaware that there are intentional networking groups. You showed up to my group, I think, once.
Yes, I did. Yeah. It was wonderful. And I have one in Minneapolis now that I go to. Just for the sake of having people that I can go hang out with and talk to, because that's how revolutions start.
Well, and just to be known and know people. Yeah. Because being online and being social media ain't it, right? Like you got to go out.
Even like virtual reality. Like my best friend has the VR set and everything and all this hoo-ha, and I've known him for like 4 months now, and we're best friends because we actually like hang out in person and like actually go do stuff.
Face to
face.
It's
just so much different.
Yeah.
And people have forgotten how to do that, and I'm figuring out how to do it. But I feel like that's every entrepreneur's thing, is to try to figure out how to talk to people and network after they got their good business skill. It takes two. You got to have a good pitch, and then you also got to be able to pitch it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, I think they just call that being social, and I think we're relearning in a modern society, and it's
a generational trauma not knowing how to socialize.
I think so. Like with the invention of cities and all kinds of stuff, there was an evolutionary bottleneck where everybody like died off. The people who couldn't deal with the sickness, right? Like viruses and illnesses have forced humankind through evolutionary bottlenecks before. Like,
right.
It hasn't always just been population go up, 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 up.
Oh, yes.
I believe
global
strongly that we are currently in a situation where the population is going to severely bottleneck due to that thing right there, the phone.
You think so?
The phone is going to bottleneck, and I think you're seeing it. So people complain about the fertility crisis. It's only going to get worse. Once AI can give you your heart's desire, you think doom scrolling is addictive now. Mm-hmm. When you are not just the consumer but the director of the content, when you say to it, give me exactly this Ghibli version of myself, you're going to spend all day making Ghibli and Simpsons versions of yourself.
Or even worse, when robots get good enough to be combined with AI, where like you can literally just like mail order like the most attractive, amazing, intellectual girlfriend you've ever had, and then you have no need for the actual individual.
But it won't
anymore.
work with everyone.
Nah, 100%.
It won't work, and that's what I'm saying is that there will be a bottleneck, and those who cannot pull themselves away from the screen and go meet other human beings are simply going to remove themselves from the gene
Oh, thank you so much.
And
yes.
that's just going to be that.
Yes.
And so, like, you're going to see...
That's why all the religious people always end up being the ones that are dominant, because those are the ones having kids.
Yes, yeah.
All these crazy progressive people who are like, oh, I don't want to have kids. Okay, your ideas are going to die with
good luck
you.
moving your ideas forward.
Yes.
Yeah. Ideas can propagate themselves. But the best way to do that is to also have a biological.
Yes, hell, even Jesus had a girlfriend. Like,
yeah. Well, we don't want to talk about anything too
all right.
there, but there I've heard some speculation.
The Gospel of Mary. Quality.
Yeah,
of course, the patriarchy removed that because they wanted to keep control and frame Jesus' teaching. And sorry, I didn't mean to. Yeah, all right. Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh yes, reaching people, spreading a message. Oh wait, okay.
Well, It's a fine line. I don't want to shut down topics, but I also don't want people to turn off their speakers.
Oh right, what is this guy talking about? Yeah.
So what we do is we keep it on the normie level, so we can keep preaching to the normies and letting them them know exactly how you became such a wild and crazy guy to start Cheerio Entertainment.
Yes.
And so that's what I really want to pull it back to. That's because I think it's a little harder to get at than I think most people realize. So when did you say to yourself, because we were talking about this promoter you had met after you started your business, but when did you say to yourself, I'm going to establish a business? So you said you started the LLC 4 years ago, so that means you signed up for the LLC. You filled out the paperwork.
Yes.
Was that like the very first thing you did, or was there?
Oh no, it's a very natural progression. Wes Cecil, another professor I listened to on YouTube, he actually talked about that. A lot of people are like, oh, to start my business, I need a website and I need a social media and I need all of this stuff. But you actually don't. You literally just need like the stuff you have, and that's something that I actually learned after like losing lots of money of setting up stuff that I never ended up using. I have a domain that I don't use.
Yes.
Whatever. My primary keeping track of all my stuff that I can use for my promotions and marketing is on Instagram. But when it came to setting up the business, it was purely a function of I know that I'm going to be buying lots of stuff, and the best way to, as a businessman, the best way to make sure I'm spending as little money as possible on my stuff is to start an LLC so I can tell the government that I'm buying a lot of stuff, so so I can give you money for roads later. I'm busy right now.
Well, yeah.
So, lots of qualified business loss carryovers.
You can just put it on your Schedule C, I think. I'm not a tax professional.
I have no idea, but now it's under like a category, so all this stuff just goes under there, and then, yeah. But that's the reason why the LLC was created.
So you started Cheerio LLC in order to do promotion then, or what was the idea at start?
Just to create Well, I knew I wanted to put on shows for quite a while.
Oh, okay, and why? Or how?
Yes. I don't know. It seemed like a fun thing to do. I mean, if you want to go for like the building community aspect, that's definitely part of it. At the end of the day,
were you going to a lot of shows?
No, actually, it's a very interesting situation. Again, fall of 2020, I was throwing house parties, and I had a $3,000 PA system in my basement, a public address for those who don't know. It's basically the big speakers that face the audience, so it's public.
We were talking about that. That was off the air when we were talking about 2020.
Oh yes. So yeah, fall of 2020 is when I dropped out of college, and then managed to, by absolute luck, find a really nice workout set with a frame and weights and everything for like $300.
Yeah.
The middle of the peaking of COVID, but of course we live in the this great state of North Dakota, so COVID basically passed without even a bat of an eye. So
that's not true.
I was throwing house parties, and I was wearing a mask out and whatever, but so I was able at that point to set up these environments that allowed people to feel comfortable.
In Fargo.
Yes, which is a skill that I've been developing for a long time. And even back then, I wasn't the one promoting my house parties. Like, the roommate was the person who like reached out to everybody. Like, I wasn't even focusing on that. So now I finally get to the point where it's like, okay, fine. Now I have to be the one to actually start talking to people and promoting myself. And
so you were throwing house parties, and you were like, I want to do this professionally. Is that? I don't know
actually, okay. So the exact moment was so I was sitting on my couch in my little basement in which I was throwing house parties, and that's where I lived, in my little like 400 or 500 square feet. And let's see, I was on some psychedelics, and I was just sitting and listening to my music on my big speakers, and I'm like, wow, this is really cool. I wanna like share this with the world. And so I'm like, well, I just kind of took it from there and just started walking the path in front of me. I kind of like think of it like pulling the string, or if you want to go for like the clown, like continually pulling handkerchiefs out of their pocket. It's like you just keep seeing what's next, and then you just keep kind of going in that direction. And eventually you're going to get somewhere, but now it's just about the journey to get there. So that moment in fall of 2020 is kind of where I was like, all right, I'll take this path and see where it leads.
So before COVID, you were bouncing around different universities, trying different things for what now? What were you going to just to meet people?
I had no purpose. I was just kind of drifting around.
But you knew you wanted to meet people.
Thoroughly atomized individual.
But you knew that you wanted to meet people.
Oh well, yes, because
and have experiences.
The culture kept wanting to give me drugs to like deal with my loneliness, but I'm like, okay, but my loneliness is a biological response to my current situation. So how do I fix the loneliness? Oh, wow, it's amazing. Probably by like talking to people and meeting people and building community and doing all the things you should. No antidepressant is going to help that.
And so you first decided that college is the best place to do that?
It was just the path that was before me, and so
yeah. Well, because I think people don't realize, like, high school funnels you. You know, people are like, well, you should have thought about that before you went and took all those student loans.
Heck no, you're still a product of your society at that point.
Well, and I say this, like, think about the position of the teachers. Like the elementary and the high school teachers.
Yes.
Like, they grew up in a world where they said, go to college and you'll get a job with security and you'll be able to do what you love. And so then they went to college, they got a job with security, and now they're doing what they love. So guess what? Literally
maybe if you're like 60 years old.
And guess what? No. It works for the teachers. The teachers...
the teachers that are getting paid $18 an hour after finishing their degree and still have $30,000 of student debt. Well, that's my 30-year-old friend.
No. They work 180 days a year. So they're making $18 an hour when you average it out over the course of a year. They're now working full time.
I don't know.
They take a lot of. I got a kid in school right now, and they take. I don't want to disparage.
That's what my teacher friend told me.
I don't want to disparage anybody's efforts, but yes. I will just say, as somebody who's been self-employed for a long time, everybody works hard, and we all think of ourselves a victim of our employers. But the teachers. They're not hurting for time off. Okay, their union does a lot of good work for them.
I'm glad to hear it.
And the system works pretty well for them. I'm sure it could be doing better for them. It could be doing better for all of us.
All right, fair enough.
But without a doubt, I wouldn't doubt it, and maybe things have changed in the last 20 years, but certainly for the millennial generation, the teachers were in a position where going to college worked great for them. Just follow your passion and go do it.
Yes. All right. So
Just
there are
follow-
minor circumstances where going to college is still advantageous. Just don't go for liberal arts or something, because you can get that on YouTube now.
But that was the advice, and you're a Zoomer, I think. But
We're not. This is not a discussion I need to get into. But the millennial generation started being born in 1984,
Yep.
and they stopped being born in 2007.
And you were born in
2000.
Oh, okay.
The oldest Zoomer
okay.
is now about 18 years old.
Oh, really?
Yes, they started being born.
So you're a
after
younger
the-
millennial. I'm an elder millennial. We're both millennials.
Yes, we're both millennials.
Okay.
All these people who think Generation Alpha is being born, what, you think that every generation over the entirety of human history lasted like 20 to 25 years, and now every generation lasts like 10 to 15 to 5 years? That's ridiculous. Stop hopping on your trends.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
I read a very interesting book about this called The Fourth Turning by William Strauss. That's one of the foundational books I have, because that describes how the world how human history repeats itself based on generational cycles.
Yeah.
And so the millennial generation is equivalent to, I guess I'm getting into it, is equivalent to the GI generation that went through an extraordinarily difficult time in their society and learning how to teamwork, work together, usually through being in the military. But in this sense, it seems to be, at least in my case, learning how to build community from the ground up after not knowing and not being well socialized as an individual when I was younger.
Well, it's the old good times make soft people, soft
classic.
people make hard times make strong people make good times.
Classic.
It's that whole thing.
And then ever
that.
since 2007, 2008, the Zoomers started being born, which is equivalent to the silent generation, who are just being like, you could say, quote unquote, protected from the society by like the parents and whatever. But when they hit their stride in, say, like 2028, 2030, when the actual next generational flip is going to happen in about that 20-year average or so, basically once Trump finishes shuffling stuff up for the next 4 years, whatever direction our country starts to go is going to be like the new American high, and all the Zoomers who grew up in this crazy, chaotic environment but were protected and were not... how do I say this? They, just like when we were younger and you were saying the whole college thing, like they're not old enough to actually like wake up and look around and be like, okay, so what's actually going on in the world?
Yeah.
When they wake up and say what's actually going on with the world, they're going to be in a position where there's going to be a lot of, we'll say generally, I can't predict the future, but generally a lot of job openings and a lot of stability, because the shakedown will have already happened. So
all that I was trying
to get
to
divorced and then go do their whatever hippie thing again, history repeats itself.
All I was trying to get at is that millennials, yourself included,
Sorry,
and
I got triggered.
No. I just because I feel like it's underreported, and I feel like it's not intentional. I don't feel like anybody ever intends, and maybe I'm naive in this way, but I don't feel that evil is typically intended. I think it is a result of incentives created unintentionally. And so you've got a university system that is set up to create teachers, and then a teachers union that protects and sets up a good life for those teachers. And so those teachers go into the high schools and the elementary schools, and their lived experience is 1,000%, hey, I went to college, I got a job, it worked. And so what are they going to tell all of the kids? Hey, you go to college, it'll work. What do we go to college for? Well, I went to college for what I believe in the most, which is teaching. So why don't you go ahead and do that? And so then you get sold a degree on music videos, Japan, and being smart. Those are the 3 degrees that I have.
Yes.
Not anything STEM.
I took the efficient route. I took what I needed and got out.
Yes. But I guess what I'm trying to say is it's it's not like they were doing it on purpose. I don't know the digression that got us to there, but like you did see like, okay, I'm not getting anywhere I want to. I'm trying to meet people, be social. I want to make more friends.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you said, you know what I'm going to do is just start throwing parties.
Yes.
And when you decided to throw parties, you said, I'm going to turn this into a money-making venture. Like that was
I may as
originally
well
the
run
idea.
with it. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and technically, so I've been in music my whole life. I started playing cello when I was 4th grade. So like the whole understanding of music is like second nature to me, to the point where I can't really describe what's going on. Like is that built in? It's like the people who have been good at talking to people their whole life. They're like, I don't know, I just do it. I don't know. Got pretty serious into DJing about like that 3.5-4 years ago. Same time I got into like working on my fitness. These last 4 years have basically been me like shut up in my apartment working on myself. And so technically, kind of the way to describe it to people now is I have my DJing, which is my creative output, which allows me to not go crazy in the society of materialism. Like it allows me to express myself.
Yeah.
But being a DJ or an artist doesn't make any money. Everybody's a DJ.
And that all
everybody's
happened
a
after
rapper.
COVID.
Whatever.
This all happened after COVID.
Yeah, generally.
Yeah.
And so I have this on the other side. I have this production now, this production company that has about $50,000 in assets, and so I can approach promoters and I can approach venues and be like, "Hey, I would like to DJ. Also, I have a bunch of this really nice equipment, so let's do some business." And then I also get to promote myself and DJ and do all that. So basically, it funds my craft, so I can spend time doing that, and it's a lot of fun.
You're leveraging your capital as a means of production. I mean,
yes,
that's pretty straightforward. But what
I am a businessman at heart. America loves me. I have yet to pay taxes because I spend all my money on assets.
But is that when you were living in Minneapolis and you're like, I'm moving to Fargo, North Dakota? Did you believe that that would be a road for you, or what is it that said, okay, I'm going to start buying assets in order? Was it the first idea was I'm going to start buying party assets in order to leverage them into being a party person professionally? Like, where did it become an idea of this is going to be the profession that I'm going to?
Interesting. I don't know. I honestly, I couldn't tell you why I bought my first PA system.
That's strange.
Yes, I know. It's very interesting.
Do you often find yourself making large purchases that require others? Because it's not something you listen to.
Require others?
Or is a PA system, I suppose, something you can enjoy by yourself?
Oh, I certainly could. But generally, I can't, because a PA system, if I'm living somewhere, there's rules that say I can't make a lot of noise, which sucks. Literally had the cops call to me yesterday because I had some buddies hanging out, and we were playing with my giant Dual 21-inch subwoofer. That's one of the best in the industry, and my DJ equipment, which was some of the best in the industry. So nice little community building there because of the whole, everybody's a DJ or a promoter in that space, and everyone loves the bass and whatever. So but yeah, I had the cops call on me, and the speaker wasn't even at like half volume. Like, yeah, I literally can only take full advantage of my equipment when it's in a commercial building, probably at like 10 to 2 in the morning or past that. So, which sucks, but oh well, that's the way it is. Maybe eventually I'll make enough money to get my own warehouse.
So what's the future? So it sounds, I mean, it just sounds like you randomly decided I wanna share this sound with everybody. Like you were, psychedelics are what it comes down to. I mean, I don't know that I've gotten a better answer out of you than that. I mean, well,
it accelerates your thinking. That probably could have dawned on me by the time I was 30. But it helps to like sit down and do some reflective work every once in a while, and any sort of mind altering. At the core
of you is I want to be around people. That's why you go to college, and now that's why you throw parties professionally.
Sounds pretty good, yeah.
I mean, you just want to be around people, and you're like,
I don't want to be lonely anymore.
I'm gonna follow. I'm gonna follow. Yeah, don't we all, baby? Yeah. Wow. I mean, it's very direct, and
I mean, it checks out. I mean, building. I mean, the last part of that is building stability around me, like doing creating this and creating a consistent business is what's going to give me the income and going to give me the community.
And do you feel like that's where you're at, or you're just about to step into that? It's been 4 years.
Oh, it's so close, bro.
Yeah.
Well, technically, my entire life has been working up to it, but I mean, it's not like I planned it. I just like came out of the womb. All right, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. Although my mom always said I was a very independent person. So, it comes with the territory, and my parents are kind of the same way. I'm at a very interesting inflection point now because I've put into work. My body is in great health. I have very healthy habits when it comes to that. Routines and whatnot. I've collected basically all the assets I needed through a variety of means. My DJ skills are where I would want them to be at. For the autistic part of me to be like, no one's going to know I DJ until I'm really good at it. But I'm like really good at it now. It's to the point where I could justify buying a $20,000 system.
What is it to DJ? Tell me, can we just zoom in on that? I think people say I'm a DJ, and
everybody's a DJ. All right, Spotify's a DJ. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, tell me what is it that you're selling? Like, what is it? I give you what, $500? I give you $1,000. I give you $10,000. Like, how much money do I got to give you, and then what do I get in return?
Yes, you get very specifically an experience that you can't experience anywhere else. Specifically, my pitch is I have one of the best subwoofers in the industry, especially for electronic music, a dual 21-inch sub, which is equivalent to about 10, 18-inch subwoofers if you're going to go for like your average garden variety, like $1,000 to $2,000 18-inch subwoofer. So this subwoofer can produce tones that you are only ever going to hear if you go to like a giant rock show. But I can bring that to a small venue that has, say, like 100 to 500 people in it.
What do you mean tones? I mean, are there sounds?
Like really,
are there?
You're right.
Is there like a B sharp that I'm not catching?
Yes, the one that's a So generally, like kick drums and like subwoofers for rock bands, they'll go from like, they sound really nice from like, say 50 hertz kind of sort of to like 100. But then if you're trying to get a lot of bass and you use those, you're going to get a lot of noise in your ears that you don't like. It's hard to explain. If I was super into lighting, it's super easy because I could just take a picture and say, oh, look at here, all my lasers and lighting and my LED screen. And, oh, look at it, so pretty. You should come to it. Yeah. But no, this subwoofer is something you literally cannot record it on your phone because your phone cannot record or produce the frequencies. Specifically, 35 to 50 hertz is kind of the peak, like really low. Like it's the sub bass is what it's called.
Okay.
And so the frequencies that I'm able to produce with that are so unique that people. Many people have said how profound it is. I had the producer I was talking to about the promotion and whatever. He's like, that subwoofer like created frequencies that I forgot existed because so many systems can't produce those frequencies in any substantial sort of way that allows you to actually feel them. And so that's part of what my experience can provide. But that's separate from DJing. That's just part of the overall production. But then again, it's part of my brand, is being able to provide that sonic experience that nobody else, you have to be there. You can't record it. You can't show other people. You could take a picture of a black box that weighs 250 pounds, but that's not going to illuminate the experience. Yeah. But then the other thing is, I mean, just like a band or anybody else, you're creating an emotional experience, like a roller coaster, because especially with music, it overwhelms your sense of self to the point where whatever the music is trying to convey emotionally, you're going to feel that more easily and more directly. And so my specific skill is with a lot of the inner work I've done, I'm able to identify the feelings. I'm like, I want to feel, if I'm doing like an hour-long set, it's like I want to feel this way, and then I want to transfer into that way and make it all flow and whatever. And so then when I identify that within myself, I now have thousands of tracks that I have at my disposal that I spent thousands of hours pouring over and analyzing. So you've been
building the tracks yourself? Like these are all...
No, actually, I've never made an original sound in my entire life.
Okay.
I have literally I have played what society has shown me or what's risen to the top. So I've been absorbing and listening to a lot of what the world has told me, and now I'm reflecting it.
You're like a curator.
In my own.
You're a curator.
Yes, basically you will listen to my mixtape is basically what it is, but I'm really good at making mixtapes now. And so basically what I do is people come to my set, they hear a subwoofer that they've never heard before that creates tones that they only hear at giant rock shows or EDM shows if you're sitting in like the front row. and then you have this emotional roller coaster experience that I'm able to curate to the energy of the room. And then, of course, the classic DJ stuff of, if people walk away, then you got to switch the genre, or if they stop dancing, you got to switch it up a bit. And so you have this whole arc.
Is it all electronic, or do you ever...
Oh, I could play everything.
Have you ever heard, do you ever do anything like classical music? Bach has toccata and fugue in D minor, which everybody knows the very, very, very opening of that.
Oh, really?
Which is the da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da.
Oh, okay.
Like, that's the very opening of it,
yes.
and it's so played out when you hear that, you just roll your eyes and be like, I got
again.
a Halloween ball
Removing
or
this from my library, overplayed.
Yeah,
I'm not going to play this in front of people.
Like, if you actually just cut that open part out and just listen to the
rest of it, the
actual piece. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Have you ever done anything like classical music or anything like that?
I am not practiced in listening to classical music.
Yeah.
Although I take the same idea of movements and I apply it to my set, because a lot of DJs, they'll be like, I'm going to play rhythm, which in my opinion is the term rhythm describes a song that has no emotions in it. You're basically just making noises. But that's a whole different topic. And then they'll do that for an hour straight. Yeah. And so maybe people be like vibing or whatever 15 minutes, and then after 15 minutes, you're just kind of standing there, like listening to it, waiting for the next song, waiting for the next
And you
set.
want it to go places and do things.
Yes, I want people to actively be engaged and listening to my set and dancing or whatever.
Have you ever heard of the band Yes? Are you familiar with them at all?
Yes?
Yeah.
Not specifically.
They might open your mind. They came on randomly New Year's Day, and I've been having like a religious experience this entire year.
Oh, really?
Like, it mostly just ended about mid-March for me. So, but for 3 months straight, I was just like absorbing their entire back catalog, because they have these 20-minute. They have songs too. Like you've heard "Roundabout," which is the opening to that meme thing. You've heard a few of their more popular songs on the radio, but they have like these 20-minute movements, and I went down this big and I went down this big rabbit hole with organs.
Wait, Owner of a Lonely Heart?
Yeah. But that's like their 4-minute song. That's like a classic. That's like their radio stuff. They have these 20-minute like movement. The one that pushed me down that rabbit's hole was "Close to the Edge." So maybe give that a listen, and especially when the organs hit. It's organs. I've been just obsessed with church organs ever since then.
Oh, this literally
I've just fallen way down this rabbit hole, like spiritually, over the music. Like, it has just blown my mind, changed everything.
Very interesting. I'll give it a listen.
We are at the end of the show.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
That's been, I pressed record. We have like 48 minutes, which is like normal show length. And we got to listen to the song and get out of here because Raspy's on next. But I want you to tell me about, because you're a music guy.
Oh, yes.
I mean, you picked Heart's song Magic Man.
Oh, sure, I know. It just sounded cool. I clicked it on the fly, but that was the first one that came up. It's it's one of the original trap songs. Like, if you listen to like a bunch of like gangster rap or like, I mean, they could do it best, but like Heart is one of those original.
I mean, this is rock. This is like classic rock.
But it has the same. I didn't even get to this. Part of my studying of music has been that every culture has to hit the same emotional beats, and they express it in different ways. So if I can identify, rock expresses this emotion this way, and then Afrobeats expresses the same emotion in a different sense versus EDM, then I can start to cross over and start overlapping the genres to create like an entirely new experience that then hopefully illuminates people to the idea that it's not the specific genre or whatever. It's like the underlying feeling that we're trying to get at here. Which is, I mean, the same reason that like all religious texts exist, which is to find that inner peace, which they call God or Nirvana or whatever the fuck. But oops, But yeah. Anyway, that's a whole different tangent. But yes, I don't know. It's a good song. So that's the first one I thought of.
All right. One last time, go ahead, plug yourself, and then we'll listen to that song and get out of here.
Oh, yes. I'm Andrew Gentner of Cheerio Entertainment. My primary social media is on Instagram at Cheerio, CHEERIO.ENT. I'd love to grow the following so I can justify my existence to promoters to put me on so I can perform. Yay.
And of course, I'm Conrad Fargo. You can find me anywhere. You can type in Conrad in Fargo. Boom, I'm there. Anywhere you type it in.
Awesome.
Andrew, have you ever heard of this little website called Amazon.com?
I try to avoid it, but I can't really do that.
If you're there and you type in Conrad Fargo, guess what happens?
Oh, whoa.
I show up.
That's amazing.
I'm literally anywhere you can type in Conrad Fargo.
That's amazing.
So give that a try. Thank you so much for coming, Andrew. Great interview. This was fantastic. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And we are going to get out of here listening to that song, and we'll see everybody next week. Bye.